This is the story of a man who sets out on a vacation with his family, but just to save $50, he rents a fishing boat from a man that was full of problems. The plan was to enjoy the beauty of the Caribbean Sea with his wife and child over the weekend, but he had no idea that this cheap deal would bring his entire family to the very edge of death. At the beginning of the story, Jack is seen having fun amidst the sea waves, making his son sit on the boat. The cold wind is hitting their faces. The sounds of laughter are echoing all around. Everything feels calm, beautiful, and perfect, but this peace does not last long. Just then, Jack's wife realizes that the boat has now gone quite far. The buildings on the shore stop being visible. Panic begins to take hold in her mind. She repeatedly asks Jack to return. Jack is also about to turn the boat and go back, but then their son spots a small island in the distance and insists on going there to explore. The wife at first flatly refuses, but finally gives in before the child's innocent persistence, and they head towards that island. This is the lonely, deserted island that changes this family's fate forever. After reaching the island, Jack starts wandering here and there with his son, looking at small things. He thinks of taking something along as a souvenir. His wife is lying on the beach, peacefully reading a book. Everything starts feeling absolutely perfect again. But as soon as they prepare to return, the real trouble appears. The boat's engine does not start under any circumstances. Jack tries repeatedly, but the engine doesn't catch life. Jack is a doctor by profession. He doesn't know how to fix machines, but his vision is very sharp. He notices that the design of the engine is very similar to the lawnmower at his house. That's when he realizes how heavy the cost of taking something cheap can be. Slowly, it starts becoming night. The temperature of the Caribbean suddenly drops. Jack's family has neither food nor water. Mobile phones have become useless because there is no such thing as a network in this area. As time passes, the wife's restlessness increases. She starts cursing Jack's negligence. Jack tries to show himself as calm from the outside. He handles his wife and keeps hoping for a miracle deep inside, that maybe some fishing boat might see them. But the reality is very cruel. In this vast ocean, this small island is like a grain of dust. It is almost impossible for any passing boat to see them. The next morning, the situation gets even worse. The boat is still not fixed, and their son starts falling victim to dehydration. In just 2 hours, his condition deteriorates rapidly. First, the face turns pale. Then the heartbeat becomes fast, breaths become weak, and the child goes into a semi-unconscious state. Being a doctor, Jack knows very well how life-threatening dehydration can be for children. Every minute of delay was putting his son's life in more danger. Jack understands that waiting now is like inviting death. He takes a step. He makes a temporary shade on the boat using tree leaves. He makes the wife and child sit in the boat and, hanging off the edge of the boat himself, tries to push the boat forward by swimming in the water with his hands so that he can reach near some tourist area and maybe get some help. The plan was good, but the body also has a limit. After working hard for a long time, Jack breaks down completely, falls into the boat exhausted, and faints along with his wife and child. The small boat keeps wandering in the sea just like that. When Jack opens his eyes, he sees that the boat has reached near another deserted island. The sun is still spitting fire. Somehow he stands up, and then a fishing boat is seen coming from afar. Life returns to Jack's eyes. He picks up leaves and waves them with all his strength, screaming. This time, luck is kind. 2 fishermen sitting in the boat see Jack and his family. They give them water and ask about the condition of the wife and child. Jack feels that finally their lives are saved, but he has no idea that the real nightmare is about to begin now. Jack quickly tells his whole story and pleads to take them to the city hospital immediately. Initially, the fisherman, Xiao Fi, easily agrees, but as soon as he hands over the child to his partner and starts picking up the wife, he suddenly makes a strange demand. He says he wants to save Jack's family, but he wants a price in return. When Jack asks how much, the answer is $1 million. Jack only has $40,000. He begs, explains that his son is only 6 years old, but greed becomes bigger than humanity. Jack gets stuck between his son's life and an astronomical amount. Finally, he agrees and says he will try to borrow money from friends.
As soon as Jack says this, the short fisherman nods in agreement, as if everything was settled. But as soon as Jack's attention drifts for a moment, he suddenly picks up the boat's oar and hits Jack on the head with all his might. Darkness spreads before Jack's eyes, and he collapses right there.
When Jack regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up on that same fisherman's boat. He looks all around, but his wife and son are nowhere to be seen. Terrified, he asks where his family is. The fisherman tells him in a cold tone that his wife and son are still on that same deserted island, and the location of that island is known only to him and his partner. He warns in clear words that if Jack doesn't give $1 million or informs the police, he will never see his family again in his life. His partner, whom everyone calls Zalba, remains silent during the entire conversation. Confusion and guilt are clearly reflected in his eyes, but he neither stops him in between nor shows even a little sympathy for Jack. It seems as if he is just a silent spectator to this whole ransom story. Now Jack is left with no choice. He is forced to silently let the boat head toward the city. As soon as they reach the shore, the fisherman takes him to a phone booth and forces him to ask for money from friends. To save his family's life, Jack makes phone calls one by one in a trembling voice. First, he requests help, then the situation becomes such that he has to beg. He doesn't tell anyone the exact amount, he just says to send as much as possible as quickly as possible. By evening, the fisherman takes him to the bank. The account is checked, and it is revealed that Jack has only $190,000, much less than $1 million. This is the savings of his entire life. In desperation, Jack tries to make a deal. The fisherman thinks for a while and agrees. Jack immediately goes to the bank counter and transfers all the money to an offshore account. As soon as he gets the money, the fisherman takes Jack to the harbor and tells him to drive his broken-down boat so that he can follow them to that island and bring his wife and child back. Jack has doubts in his mind, but in the hope of his family, he gets on the boat. As soon as he enters the cabin, the door is locked from behind. The fisherman explains and gestures to his partner to move the boat forward. Now Jack has completely understood that these people are never going to fulfill their promise. The talk of returning to the island was just another deception. As soon as the boat reaches the middle of the sea, the fisherman's intention becomes even clearer. He deliberately slows down his boat speed and gestures to Jack to come close, as if he wants to talk. As soon as both boats come close, he suddenly picks up a sharp spear, jumps onto Jack's boat, and attacks him. At that moment, Jack realizes that he wants to kill him and remove him from the way forever. Hearing Jack's screams, his partner, Zalba, moves forward, but the fisherman threatens him with the spear. Caught between fear and guilt, Zalba steps back again. The fisherman knew that if Jack survived, he could reach the government and the police, and he might have to pay the price for it with his own family. Because of this fear, he chooses the path of murder. He makes a hole in the bottom of Jack's boat, and without wasting a single moment, leaves far away with his boat. Cold seawater starts filling Jack's boat rapidly. If he didn't get out in time, his death was certain, but the memory of his wife and child doesn't let Jack give up. He starts looking for anything in the cabin with which he can get out. Finally, he finds the engine's gear handle. He hits that handle on the glass with all his might, repeatedly with all his strength, but the glass does not break. It was clear that the fisherman had come with all arrangements made beforehand. This was not his first crime. At the last moment, an idea strikes Jack. If the glass is not breaking, he tries to break the wood around the door frame. After continuous hard work, he finally succeeds in taking the glass out and saves himself. Just as his strength was about to give up, luck favors him again. A tourist boat passes by and sees Jack. His life is saved. As soon as he reaches the shore, Jack tells the whole story to the police, everything from kidnapping and ransom to the attempt on his life. He pleads and begs the police to find his wife and child, but Jack almost breaks down after hearing the police's reply. They feel that the island he is talking about is at least 150 nautical miles away, and there are hundreds of small and large islands around it. It could take weeks to search everyone. Hearing this, Jack understands that relying on the system means handing his family over to death. Jack is completely broken after hearing the police's response.
Being a doctor, he knows very well that his wife and son have been stuck on that deserted island for several days. They have neither food nor water. In such circumstances, it is impossible to stay alive even for a week. Jack pleads with the police chief to arrest the fisherman immediately. He believes that only through him can the correct location of the island be found. But the police chief does not believe Jack's story. He suspects that Jack deliberately went far with a private boat and then transferred $190,000 to an unknown offshore account. The police start to feel that Jack has done all this for the greed of insurance money, and the fisherman is just a story made up by him. When this suspicion reaches the embassy, they immediately stop the search for Jack's family and turn the case into a murder investigation so that government resources are not wasted and the image of tourism is not tarnished. The police's suspicion and the system's indifference clearly explain to Jack that relying on the law now is useless. Anger and helplessness together force him to take a dangerous decision. He decides to save his family in his own way. Evading the police's eyes, Jack catches a taxi and goes straight to the marine market. He asks every fisherman about that man, but there are so many people there that no one is able to help him just based on name and appearance. Then Jack's eyes fall on an old wound on the driver's hand. He remembers that there was a similar mark on the fisherman's hand too. The driver tells him that such wounds are common while cutting fish, and there is only one hospital in the city where such wounds are treated. Hearing this, Jack tells the driver to go to that same hospital. Reaching the hospital, Jack makes an excuse that the wound on his leg has become infected and gets his name registered in the emergency. During the treatment, he tells his whole story to the doctor and pleads to somehow get the fisherman's information. The doctor feels pity for his condition, but clearly says that due to hospital rules, he cannot give any patient's personal information. Still, for the sake of humanity, he decides to help silently. After the treatment is over, the doctor pulls the room's curtain and, making an excuse to go to the bathroom, leaves Jack alone for a while. Jack immediately opens the computer and starts searching through patient files. In a short while, he finds the name and address he was looking for. While leaving, he hides a small surgical knife in his pocket. This is his only weapon and his last hope to save his family. The fisherman's house is in a very poor and disorganized area of the city. Broken down huts and filth are spread all around. As soon as Jack reaches there, he sees a woman taking care of a sick child. That woman repeatedly says that she doesn't know that fisherman, but the pictures on the wall prove her words false. Then the sound of the door opening comes. Inside comes the same fisherman who has just returned after taking the money. He is shocked to see Jack, and in the next moment, a tremendous scuffle begins between the two. Jack is certainly weak. There is an injury in his leg too, but while fighting for his family, a wonderful strength comes into him. He pins the fisherman to the ground and takes out all the anger suppressed for years on him. When the fisherman's wife sees all this, she picks up a spear gun and comes in between, separating the two. The situation becomes such that Jack's survival seems impossible. Just then, the fisherman's little daughter comes into the room. In the chaos, Jack catches the child and keeps the surgical knife near her neck. He forces the fisherman to put the weapon down, but in the next moment, everything changes. In panic, the trigger is accidentally pulled by the fisherman, and the bullet hits his daughter directly. The child collapses. Seeing this, the fisherman breaks down and falls upon Jack in a frenzy. To save himself, Jack, without thinking, stabs the knife into his neck. As soon as the neck vein is cut, in just a few moments, the fisherman falls to the ground covered in blood. Seeing the blood spread in the room and the screams, Jack becomes numb. He had come to save his family, but unknowingly, another disaster had occurred.
Now the only witness to the whole matter is that same partner of the fisherman. Jack, without wasting time, goes straight to the harbor office and finds out the location by giving the boat number. But as soon as he gets the information, he sees that the police have spread all around and are preparing to catch him. Jack immediately gets on a bus and leaves from there, escaping by a hair's breadth. Look at the game of fate. The fisherman's partner is also present on the same bus. As soon as he gets off and runs, Jack runs after him. He shouts and says that if he tells him the location of the island, he will neither harm him nor tell the police. The partner sees pain, truth, and helplessness in Jack's eyes.
He starts feeling ashamed of his deed. He's about to stop and tell him when a high-speed truck hits him while crossing the road. Jack runs to that man who is lying in a severely injured condition. He takes the map out of his pocket and asks for the island's location in a panicked voice. Writhing in pain, that man shows the right place on the map with trembling hands and faints. Jack tells the driver to take him to the hospital and himself runs to the seaside. There, he forcibly takes a speedboat from some boys and sets out towards the sea with all his strength. Although this act draws the Marine Police's attention to him, they can't do anything against the speed of the speedboat. After hours of travel, Jack finally reaches that deserted island. He jumps from the boat and starts shouting his wife's and son's names, but no answer is received. In that moment of disappointment, he sees footprints on the sand. He follows those marks and reaches under a large tree. There, his wife is lying unconscious. Breaths are very slow. His son has turned blue on the ground. His breaths have stopped, but Jack doesn't give up. Crying, he starts giving the child CPR. Drenched in sweat and tears, his hands get tired, but he doesn't stop. Every second becomes a prayer for his son. Then, suddenly, the child coughs and his breath returns. Jack cries out in joy. He first takes the son to the boat, then comes back to take the wife, but continuous fatigue, injury, and the burden of emotions make his body give up. Darkness spreads before his eyes and he falls unconscious on the sand. At that same time, the sound of a helicopter echoes in the sky. A rescue team sees them. The film ends here. It is not told whether Jack gets punished for his actions or not. The story ends not with the law, but as a story of a father's persistence, love, and going beyond human limits. This film shows us how the indifference of the system, hunger for money, and human greed can destroy lives. But in that same darkness, it also teaches that love and courage are the strengths that can bring a person out of the greatest hell. If you like this video, please surely subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon so that more such videos reach you. Thanks for watching.